So they get close. That was what he said anyway. So they're happy with it. They like it. It's also one of the quietest turbines I've ever heard, or that they've heard. So
that's the one that's made in Canada, but it's another. It's like a Vestas.
It's a Verlander. They've got the right.
A lot of
certified Verlander. Right. Exactly.
Could we use air funds to buy a Canadian-made turbine?
I don't know.
I heard that I don't know if this is true or not, but I heard that they had removed that prohibition on air funding for projects.
I think there aren't enough of them made here, I guess. Or something. I'm not sure.
It's just GE and is it Clipper?
Clipper, right? Clipper is not interested in selling you one.
They're aimed at the big offshore.
Yeah, they don't. No, they're also aimed at onshore, but they want to sell 5 or 10. We have talked to them as well. So we have to think and talk to.
We could tag along. We could consider tag along with the other consortia.
It's going to be put out to bid for development anyway,
right?
And they'll have an idea of what turbine will be appropriate or not, and you can decide whether you like that or not.
You can hear it. That's the. I happened to go by the windmill a couple of days ago, and I went right underneath it.
Yeah, at the school.
Yeah, at the school.
Right.
I was standing right underneath it.
Yeah. Quiet.
Can't hear it.
Sounds like when you turn up the squelch control.
Yeah. The other thing that we haven't done yet is to file the FAA 7460.
Yeah, is that under notes to sound?
Notice, so we get a notice of idea of whether it's going to be a hazard. I don't think that's going to be a problem, but you never can tell. Right. We ought to do that ASAP.
I'm initially worried about Fields Point, and that keeps it clear.
Right.
Finally. It was fine,
Yeah. Initially, they got knocked down to 200 feet or something.
You know what their delivery is? Schedule is? Or if they?
I don't.
Turbine supplier?
I don't know.
They put 3 up there.
Right. Which is amazing to me. I don't know how they're going to fit them there, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Was that, or no, NBC is, right?
Right.
How big are they? Nameplate?
I don't know.
1.5. 1.5, I think it's during that, yeah. 3 of them though, that site.
Which seems awful close to me, but you know.
I don't know the extent of the site to the cone of the north that where it drops off.
Land from Save the Bay.
Right. I don't think so, because I talked to the Save the Bay guys, and they're not involved in that.
Oh,
yeah, as far as I can tell, the NBC guys think that even with all of those turbines, they'll barely cover their electric bill for turning those clarifiers. Yeah, exactly. But I haven't talked to them specifically about what they decided on manufacturer or
it would be nice to get kind of a lead on that.
Yeah, actually I know the guys doing it. I'll give them a call and find out
what company they're going.
I'm interested in.
Do they have an engineering firm that's going to install it? Or is that?
Don't know.
So I'm going to bring us back to, do we want to make a recommendation, and if so, what? Michael, what do we have from you guys as committee members yet?
My inclination is to make the recommendation that we put one turbine on the site.
I'd like to see 2 again. I think there's room there, but you know, I want to do what's right for the economics, and I think doing 2 together makes the most sense. You know, whether you're doing it on one site or at 2 different sites, because you know, my personal opinion is if we put one somewhere, we'll never put another one up, because my opinion is that people in Jamestown will go, oh, we did our turbine, we're good, we're green, you know, I'm not going up, I'll just go keep driving my SUV and I'm good. So, you know, that's my personal opinion, so I think if we're going to do something, we should do it now, and, you know, I'd go, if we're going to do 2 of them at 2 different places, I could definitely go with that.
We've always run, Lisa, you're a committee member, you haven't spoken up.
I still am solid on Taylor Point, and I don't object to one at Fort Getty. I am concerned about the location that is shown in the report. I just think that the council, if the council, I think they're completely able to vote for one at Fort Getty, that they need to recognize that it's a risk in terms of the existing campground. Now, Bill Piva sent out, I don't know whether it was with the notice of payment for next year, he sent out a questionnaire to the campers, and one of the questions that he asked was, would they continue camping if there was a wind turbine? Well, obviously, they don't probably know what that means, or most of them don't know what that means, but the initial results coming back is that people, majority of them, really don't object to it, and they believe that they would continue camping there. I just think that if the town is looking at that funding source as a continued funding source, they need to recognize that putting one there could put that revenue source at risk.
Do you really think that there are no campers in the entire world who would want to have a waterfront location for what we charge at Fort Getty because there's a wind turbine 1,000 feet away?
Well, you just heard it. I mean, you heard it. I mean, it's not going to be silent, and it's not going to be unobtrusive.
Yeah, but it's only a risk if no one comes.
It's only, well, yeah.
Isn't there standing room only at that thing anyway?
There's quite a few of them now.
I have a feeling it will actually attract other people who formerly wouldn't have thought of it.
We just don't know, and that's what I'm saying. I can't speculate either way.
I can
just saying that it
say
may
that
be a
the
risk.
studies I've seen have said just the opposite. They become tourist attractions.
Tourist attractions, but do they want to stay underneath them? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
How close, and it's been a while since I've been on horse real side to see the high school.
Yeah.
What happens there is just, yesterday. How close is the turbine to the surrounding residential neighborhood?
Where?
Houses.
Here at Taylor Point.
No, at Portsmouth Ranch.
Portsmouth High School, 600 some odd feet, about 600 feet.
There's a small neighborhood on that access road into the high school.
Yeah, just to the north and the east, right?
Yeah.
That's about 600 feet away or so.
And I haven't heard that there's been any complaints.
No, they are complaining.
They are complaining.
Are they?
Yeah, one of the high school.
Okay.
Who's
Just the neighborhood right there.
Yeah.
Just a nearby neighborhood complaining about the noise from it.
Yeah.
somebody in
That would
particular
be-
or the whole neighborhood?
Weigh into whether or not it would disturb the campers.
Mhm.
Because they're quiet
Yeah.
enjoyment of the
I'm
campers.
just saying that if the town, which they do have to make a decision about whether to invest money in the infrastructure for the campers, if they're going to make that investment, this may or may not impact it. It's simply a risk. I think that it needs to be recognized as that.
But I think that the revenues obviously are very, very significant. We don't know what the answer to whether or not there's going to be an impact on the campers as of yet or not. There's a window of opportunity here to make an application. Both proposals, either both joint sites or a single, have to go before the voters for bond referendum approval. So we will have an opportunity to vet this a little bit more. And so I guess what my opinion would be, apply for vote and make a decision as we get closer to the date of the referendum, how we're going to present that.
Yeah.
Because the voters ultimately will say yes or no for two or just one.
That makes sense to me. Nancy, Joe?
Is it realistic to put two at Fort Getty?
Yeah, we keep coming back to that. Danny's looked at it pretty carefully.
You
No, I
said
mean,
no originally.
right, if the guys in NBC are willing to put 3 on the NBC property, I don't know.
But maybe it has to do with the prevailing winds there. I mean, they're not in our favor at Fort Getty.
Yeah.
They're about the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're not in our favor?
I'm not quite sure how they're fitting in there, so I can't quite answer that, but we looked at it, and there are some issues with it, them being a little bit too close. There are the folks from Verlander, Vestas, or whoever, they have a climatology study they'll do for each one of these things, and one of the questions has to do with prevailing wind directions, turbulence at the site, and proximity to other obstructions like another turbine, and it's close according to their requirements.
So
It's not impossible. I mean, I've certainly seen them.
The upwind turbine could potentially interfere with the wind stream going to the downwind turbine.
Right.
And take away some of the power of it.
It definitely will interfere with it if it's directly downwind, even if it's 10 turbine blade widths or what diameters away, right?